Production.
Greetings again. Turner Lamar L, also known as the Sagent. All right, we got the hard part out the way. We on. We live, man. So I usually, when I go about the day, when things come to me, I just let that be the motivating factor of whatever I decide or determine what to speak about on the video. So it came to me today, man. Just riding around down the street, and I look up and I look at a system of commerce where people don't understand or comprehend their position in it, or their position to the government, or their position to the public or private. So one thing about it, it's only two sides to this. It's public and private. It's only two sides to this. Public or private. Which side of it are you on? Okay? And when you come out to the public, do you know how to use your ends leisures to your benefit, not to your detriment? Okay? So I decided to name this video registration. Okay? You're getting taxed for the public use of your private property. Period. What do you mean? I'm getting taxed for the public use of my private property. Okay. Anytime that you register anything, you giving over legal title holding right to the property. What's this all about? Yeah, you giving legal title holding right of the property. So let me show you something. All right. Because you got to learn, like, etymology of words. What do words come from? Base words and things of that nature. Huh? Let's see. Okay, Black's Law. Because when we talk about certain things, you cannot think that whatever that you the ordinary manner that you comprehend something is applied to when you go into this arena, this imaginary world that these people operate in. A registration. Okay. Now, in the registration, a lot of people fail to realize when you register something, you relinquish legal title holding right to whatever property you just registered. So let's think about how much stuff you register. Okay, when you register something with somebody, you relinquish legal title holding right in that property. And guess what you just created once you register something with someone else? If you need to, back out of this video and go look at my videos I have up posted. And one of them says, what's a trust? And if you go into that video and listen to it and understand what I'm telling you in that video, a trust is created by the transfer of property. That's the state of whoever you live in. I live in the state of Illinois, more like the estate of Illinois. The estate, an estate is created. Look at all this stuff. Property, real property, intellectual property, private property of people that they feel under whatever reason that somebody has told them that you have to register your private property with the government. That's why you're getting taxed for the public use of your private property, right? So a register. A register is an officer authorized by law to keep a record called a register or a registry. As a register for the probated wills, a book containing a record of facts as they occur, kept by public authority, a register of births, marriages, and burials. Now, this is Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition. Let's see if we can find, okay, Black's Law like an 8th edition. Oh, oops. Let's see if we can find like an 8th edition, because over the course of time, as new laws start coming out, definition of words start changing. Now look at these. You got to invest in yourself. Definition of words. Now, I do have a physical Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition, but I'm not in range of it right now. Let's see if we can find like a PDF or something. Let's see if we can find out. Ooh, that's a lot of pages, ain't it? Well, anyway, when you register something, you give a legal title holding right. So, liable. Okay, we need to get to the R's. So what? There we go. Let's go back a little bit. Are we still in the R's? Okay, REI. Okay. Regulation, regular. Okay. Registration. Okay. Let's check this out. Okay. Let's check this out right here. What is a registration? A registration is a noun. It's the act of recording or enrolling. Enrolling. Okay. The county clerk handles the registration of voters. Criminal registration. The requirement in some communities of a felon who spends any time in the community must register his or her name with the police. There's different type of registration. Special registration. Registration. And they got around that. Well, anyways, what they won't show you is the effect of a registration. So let me just say that. They're going to say a general definition of what a registration is, but they'll never tell you what the effect of a registration is. So now that creates an interest in property, right? Now we just said in our last video that the only way value is created in a society that's debt-based, that has no currency backed by something of substance, is to create interest in property. That's how value is created. So what's going on when you go up here to this car lot, and when the car is fresh off of the floor from the assembly plant, MCO, a manufacturer's certificate of origin, is issued with that vehicle to the dealership. That document in itself is the allodial title to that vehicle. That's the highest claim in that vehicle because nobody owned it before it was created. When you get the MCO, that means I have the original title to this car. So what happens when you go to these car lots? You go in there, you sign your paperwork, you give them your social security number, you create the credit that you think that you're getting loaned by way of your signature, and then somebody takes that promissory note that you promised to pay and sell it to somebody else for a fraction of what you owe. But that's neither here nor there. So what they'll tell you is, if you buy the car straight out, Mr. John Doe, sir, your title is going to come in the mail. No, it's not going to come in the mail. I need the MCO from back there, right back there with your sales manager. Yeah, don't send that to the Secretary of the State, because what's happening when the dealership sends your manufacturer certificate of origin to the state, they're registering it. And what does the state do? The state then in turns takes and keeps the allodial title to that property, and they give you what's called equitable title. Huh? They give you what's called equitable title. That means you have the right to use the property according to what? Whose terms? The terms of the people who you registered the property with. You can't have your tail lights tinted. You got to use a turn signal when you turn. You can't tint your windows too dark. Make sure your headlights are on operating, because if we see any violation of this vehicle while it's registered with us, you're going to be subject to a fine, fee, or a penalty, right or wrong. Make sure that you take care of your sticker and your tag and keep your registration up to date. What does the police ask for when you walk up to your car? How does he inform himself that he has authority to interact with you and or take this vehicle that you think is your personal property? No. It is not your personal property anymore. Why is it not your personal property? Not only do you not have the allodial title to your vehicle, the state holds it. Only do you have the equitable title, which is the right to use the property and not a superior claim to it. Now, not only the effect of your registration has taken your property out of the private and brought it into the public. And when you come into the public, you're subject to codes, rules, regulations, and statutes, and things sequential. Now, if we go to the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, it says right here, Um, boom. Nor shall, okay, and then we continue because none of this is really applicable to what I'm saying, but this phrase right here, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Okay, now you using your vehicle out in the public. Now your vehicle has just became a what? A vessel. Okay. U.S. Code definition of vessel. A vessel of the United States. Okay, and we're gonna look at different. We're gonna look at different contexts. Okay, we're gonna look at different contexts of this word vessel because in different parts of the United States Code, the same word means something different, but they all come down to the same point. Now, the term vessel of the United States is using the title means a vessel belonging in whole or in part to the United States, or any citizen or any citizen thereof, or any corporation created by and under the laws of the United States. A vessel. And now that's vague, isn't it? That's not as clear as you would want it to mean. Okay. Now, the word vessel includes every description of watercraft or other artificial contrivance used or capable of being used as means of transportation on water. Now, okay, turn on my air. What do you mean? So, because my vessel, how do you call my vehicle a vessel and it's not on water? Huh? How are you calling my vehicle a vessel and it's not on water? We on the land. Okay. Well, let's go to 18 USC. Special maritime jurisdiction. It's special. This is special. It's special because it's fictional. Look at this. And now stay with me. I'm going to bring you all the way full circle to why anything that you do out in the public, you will be referred to as a vessel. Was not your body referred to as a vessel in the Bible? Now, so we need to understand and comprehend what jurisdiction they're operating in. What jurisdiction are they operating in? Now, we've established this before. The only authority that these people have to interact with you is by way of the Commerce Clause of the United States Constitution, which gives and grants them authority to regulate all commercial activity. The vessels at seas, the ships coming to the harbor, trading goods internationally, that's commercial. But we gave them authority over all commercial activity. And for them to be able to bring their jurisdiction into effect and make their fictional world a reality, they have to finesse it in. But they got to tell you what they're doing as well, right? So the term special maritime, now there's 3 jurisdictions in the Constitution for the United States of America. There's law, which is common law, equity, and then you have the maritime, which is the laws at sea in the time of peace, and then you have admiralty, which is the laws at sea in the time of war. Okay? So we're talking about the water. We just defined the word vessel that says anything that's used on water. So the term special maritime and territorial jurisdiction of the United States is using this title includes, the high seas, any other waters within the admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of the United States, which the federal courts have exclusive jurisdiction over maritime admiralty jurisdiction. Okay, the states don't. Now, even though they're operating in that. So, and out of the jurisdiction of any particular state and any vessel belonging in whole or part to the United States or any citizen thereof, or to any corporation created by or under the laws of the United States, or any territory, district, or possession thereof, when such vessels within the admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of the United States, and not the jurisdiction of any particular state. Also, if it's out of the jurisdiction of any particular state and it's in the jurisdiction of the United States, they let you know those are 2 different entities. Any vessel registered, licensed, and enrolled under the laws of the United States. Okay, voyage on the waters. Now look at that. Any lands. Okay, any island, rock, aircraft, any vehicle, any place outside the jurisdiction with respect to any an offense by or against the national of the United States. Okay, so this is what we need to get to. Now, you see that they're talking about watercraft. They're trying to get you to believe that they're speaking about a watercraft or aircraft or anything like that. Okay. Now, a vessel may also be something used to achieve an end. Just like our spirit comes from source and manifests in the human body, and we use this human body as a vessel to operate on this plane of manifestation. Right? Now, check this out. The term special maritime and territorial jurisdiction in the United States, this is what I was looking for. I remember it was finessed in here and it'll slip right in the crack. You got to read carefully. Any aircraft belonging in the whole or part of the United States is in the special maritime area. Or, now look at that. It's singling out who they're speaking of, or any citizen thereof, or to any corporation. So they're talking about any corporation created by and under the laws. Any aircraft belonging to the United States or any citizen thereof is in this jurisdiction. So let's go to this case right here. Now I'm letting you know what jurisdiction they operate in. Let's go to this case right here. It's called Fitzhugh versus Genesee. I forget how to spell it. Propeller. Propeller Chief. I think that's what it was. All right, the Propeller Genesee Chief versus Fitzhugh. This is the landmark precedent case that brought the Admiralty jurisdiction from off of the water onto the land. How did they do that? It's been a flood. You've been bamboozled. The Constitution said this Constitution and the treaties shall be the supreme law of the land. But what they've done is created a jurisdiction that operates outside of the Constitution, but adheres to the Constitution. Why does it adhere to the Constitution? Because when you come into the Admiralty dealing with contracts, you have the unlimited right. Let's go to this Constitution. You have the unlimited right to contract. You have the unlimited right to contract. Hold on. Where we at? Article 1, let's go to section 10 of Article 1. Let's go to section 10 of Article 1. Okay. Now, this how they know that your right to contract precedes any act that they ever enacted or before they ever came into existence. Section 10 of Article 1 of the United States Constitution says no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters or marquee, and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. Excuse me. Are you not using Federal Reserve notes? Are you paying debts with gold? No. Are you paying debts with silver? No. Pass any bill of attainder. Ex post facto law. Ex post means facto means after the fact. Y'all can't create a law about something that wasn't wrong at the time, then punish for somebody for it after the fact. That's what an ex post facto law is. A law impairing the obligation of contracts. There you go. Law impairing the obligation of contracts. Can nobody use the Constitution to get out of a lawfully binding contract? The government cannot pass a law impairing the obligation of contracts, so that's what gives them standing in their own world, because you have the right to contract with anybody that you wish to, and when you come into the court, guess what you're doing? You're contracting, right? So back to Propeller Genesee Chief. This is a landmark case, 1851. They was working on this takeover. They was working on this takeover over 150 years ago. Okay, so if you go in this case, and I should have had it pulled up and ready, okay, under the Constitution, all the cases of Admiralty Maritime, particularly enumerate, which is unnecessary to specify here. So on cases where constitutionality or something, they always do a historical analysis. Usually, do a historical analysis. Now, what we have to do is dig in here, and I've read this case before. Let's see if we can find it. They had a collision out here. Okay. So, okay, here go the justices of the court getting ready to render their opinions. And so I forget what justice said it. So, and this is another case that, gives you a lot of explanations, because here it goes. Define it indeed being consistent with the plain ordinary meaning words to call a law defining the jurisdiction of certain courts of the United States a regulation of commerce. This is what they're regulating, commerce. It is evident, therefore, from the title as well as the body of law, that Congress, in passing it, did not intend to exercise the power to regulate commerce nor derive their authority from that article of the Constitution. The Constitution is the law that govern the bylaws that govern their corporation. That's why they refer to it. Here it is. We found it. Now check this out. Now let me bring this back to before I get here. Excuse me. This is where he changed it. In his opinion, he changed how the laws of the water, maritime admiralty, only affect vessels on the water. Now listen, nor can the jurisdiction of the courts of the United States be made to depend on regulations of commerce. They let you know that the jurisdiction was strictly commercial. They are entirely distinct things, having no necessary connection with one another, and are conferred in the Constitution by separate and distinct grants. Yes, they are. The extent of the judicial power is carefully defined and limited. And Congress cannot enlarge it to suit even the wants of commerce. What are they telling you? There's a separation of powers. The first three articles of the Constitution, one deals with the legislative, one, the executive, two, and Article 3 is the judicial. They cannot exercise powers that respectfully belong to another branch of government, or there will be anarchy, chaos, confusion, disorder, and unbalance. Okay? Even the wants of commerce, the Congress cannot enlarge it. They can't expand their powers, nor for the convenient execution of its commercial regulations. You can't abuse the next branch's powers because you have no authority to use them. And the limits fixed by Constitution to the judicial authority of the courts of the United States will form an insuperable objection to this law if its validity depended upon the commercial power. Here we go. This where the water come onto the land. This power is extensive upon land as upon water. The Constitution makes no distinction in that respect. So when they say something like the Constitution makes no distinction in that respect, the authority, which is the plenary power, okay, judges were given authority to determine what the Constitution meant. Judges were given the authority to read it how they feel it should be read. The Constitution makes no distinction. So when they say that, they're getting ready to let you know that we're finna get ready and make a distinction. And if the admiralty jurisdictions, okay, in matters of contract and tort, which the courts of the United States may lawfully exercise on the high seas, can be extended to the lakes under the power to regulate commerce, it can, with the same propriety and upon the same construction, be extended to contracts and torts on land when the commerce is between different states. Hello. And it may also embrace the vehicles and persons engaged in carrying it on. It would be in the power of Congress to confer an admiralty jurisdiction upon its courts over the cars, your vehicle that you drive, engaged in transporting passengers or merchandise from one state to another, and over persons engaged in conducting them, and to deny the parties the trial by jury. They let you know what's going on with these vehicles. These vehicles are being registered in commerce, and they're being created as vessels. I'm showing you right here. Am I blowing smoke up your ass? No, I'm not. I'm telling you right here how he just brought the law of the sea onto the land, and he's telling you that the law of the sea covers what? Contracts and torts on the land when the commerce is between different states. Is it not called interstate commerce when you leave from Illinois and drive into Iowa and then pay a tax on some cigarettes in the back of your car? That's a violation of interstate commerce. But guess what? Especially this talks about commerce that's being held intrastate, in the state, and as well crossing state lines. And it also, look at this. So guess what your car is? A vessel. Because we're talking about the admiralty jurisdiction, the law of the sea. So also the vehicles and persons engaged in carrying it on. It would be in the power of Congress to defer admiralty jurisdiction over the cars engaged in transporting passengers and merchandise from one state. Guess what? That right there. Right there. This what makes it commercial. A passenger is someone who paid a fare. If you transportate merchandise, you're engaged in what? Commercial activity. Did it say anything about you handling your personal business, going from place to place and not participating? No, they're talking about what they can regulate. And they can deny you the trial by jury. Traffic court. They can deny you the trial by jury in traffic court. Now, the judicial power in cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction have never been supposed to extend to contracts made on land and to be executed on land. But if the power of regulating commerce can be made the foundation of the jurisdiction in its courts, and a new and extended admiralty jurisdiction beyond is heretofore known and admitted limits. He created the new jurisdiction right here. He did. It may be created on water under that authority. The same reason would justify the same exercise of power on land. Hello. So now, when you're driver down the highway, when you're driving down the highway, imagine this. Imagine the highway on both sides of it. Imagine a big highway. Imagine it like a swimming pool. And you know those bobbies that they put in between each swimmer so you don't cross into those lanes? Now imagine you just like in Bikini Bottom. You just like SpongeBob. You're riding in your little vessel. Now since your vessel, and now since the special admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of the United States, okay, let's go back to it. 18 USC special maritime jurisdiction. Now, am I getting this clear to you? Am I getting this clear to you that they're strictly operate under a maritime admiralty jurisdiction, which is civil. It's civil. Now, boom. There we go. Now, can you see? Now, even though it don't say anything about vehicles or cars on here, it keep on saying vessels. It keep on saying something about vessels. It says the high seas or other waters within the admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. Let's go back here. Did he not bring this jurisdiction on land? That's at 443, 453. So we can go back up. In 1851, there's been a jurisdiction. Huh? There's been a jurisdiction. Now, with that being said, now your car is what? A vessel, registered and licensed and enrolled under the laws of the United States, is it not? Any vessel. Guess what you did with your vehicle? What does a police ask for the first time when he pulls you over? License and registration. They need to know that they have authority over this vessel that you're operating in commerce. Licensed. Enrolled. Did you not enroll your car into the public trust? Did you not give them your manufacturer certificate of origin? Did you not give it to them? Are you not operating your little boat on their high seas and in their waters of commerce? Do you not use their currency? Current at sea? Is not the money, them blue hundreds that you use represent the water? Does not the currency keep everything moving? Is not the currency the current at sea? Was you not born from your mother's waters? When she finished her voyage, her 9-month voyage, when you finished your 9-month voyage in her waters, where did she go park her vessel? At the dock. Yes, she did. She went to that doctor and she parked her vessel right in that delivery room. And what did they give that vessel? What did they give that property that she informed on? Hold on. Let's go ask and see what this is. Since we're dealing with commercial things, let's see what this is. A certificate of lading. What is a certificate of lading? Or bill of lading, excuse me. Let's go see what a bill of lading is. Let's just go a bill of lading definition. There you go. Investopedia. Let's see what they say. A bill of lading is a legal document issued by a carrier to a shipper that details the type of quantity and designated goods that are being carried. A bill of lading also serves as a shipment receipt. When the carrier delivers, your mother carried you, and she delivered her goods, which is the child that she described. A bill of lading. It's like, okay, so a bill of lading is what the carrier, the carrier, which is your mother. See, these are all commercial terms, right? When you go and get, okay, right here, deliver. When you go and get your car from the dealership, what are you doing? You're taking delivery of it. The goods, the carrier brought the goods to a predetermined destination, the car lot, right? So you registering your vehicle puts you under their jurisdiction, their admiralty jurisdiction. And so we all know that in the common law, there must be a corpus delicti, which is the body of the crime upon which the crime was committed. Okay? And they only have two criminal jurisdictions. The Constitution grants these courts two criminal jurisdictions. One is under the common law, and the other constitutes a condition of contract under a criminal aspect of a colorable admiralty jurisdiction. Maritime admiralty. They ain't gonna say admiralty. They don't like that word. But they'll say it. The admiralty. Okay? An admiralty jurisdiction. So you registering your vehicles, you get a license, you come into their jurisdiction. But guess what's happening? Now, you're generating revenue for the state. By coming to the state, you generate revenue because guess what? You pay fees when you go to the DMV. You pay a registration fee. You pay a registration tax. You pay a private property tax. There are so many taxes that you pay. You got to look at it now. Let's go back to the Constitution, and let's go back to the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. Okay? Let's go back to the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. All right. Here go the Fifth Amendment right here. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So, you can't, now since you know that you're getting taxed for the public use of your private property, ever assert that someone has taken anything from you because guess what you did? You gave it over. You forked it over. Didn't nobody put no gun in your head and tell you to go to the DMV and register your vehicle. So, now imagine, we going back to your vessel, your boat. We on the highway, and you in your little boat. Now let's turn your Corvette into a speedboat. All right, let's just say the 18-wheelers. Those are yachts. Those are bigger boats. Now we on the waterways because we're in their special maritime admiralty jurisdiction, and we just seen right here in the Propeller Genesee Chief that these people can exercise that same power on land, and we just seen right here that. The cars transporting passengers and merchandise from one state to another persons and get engaged in conducting them. They specifically said cars. Okay, so now your car is a boat because the land of the law of the water is now on the land. It's flooded now. Okay? Now, check this out. Guess what you got out there sitting in the middle of the highway with his souped up 2021 Ford Explorer or with his Dodge Magnum? Or his speedboat. Let's call his a speedboat because we call yours a speedboat. We got the state of Illinois state troopers. I call them pirates. You call them. They're trying to be. Why do we call them pirates? Why do I call them pirates? Turn them my ear. Why do you call them pirates? For educational purposes. Why do you call them pirates? Because the pirates are only focused on one thing, and what is that? Boarding your vessel. What do pirates do? They rob, kill, steal, and plunder. How many people have got killed in a traffic stop? By a pirate. How many people have had their vessel boarded by a pirate who lied to them about their right to tell him, no, I do not want my vehicle searched. Well, if you don't want your vehicle searched, we're going to bring a dog to air sniff it. Pirate, You want to board my vessel. And you so mad that I'm standing on you about not coming in here that you're going to find a way to create probable cause to board my vessel. Pirate with your bulletproof vest. Pirate with your AR-15 assault rifle, your mace, your taser, your Glock 19, your billy club, and your canine dog waiting to sink his fangs in my flesh. Okay? Now, you're involved in commercial activity trying to board your vessel. Everything is commercial. Your mother took and delivered her goods to the dock. Did she not? And registered you in commerce and got your social security number. The government gave you a monopoly piece. And your social security number is your estate. Right? So now, the Constitution says that no private property should be taken for public use without just compensation. When that police or that pirate boards your vessel and it doesn't amount to the standards of the state codes and the 1,000 statute, what happens? Then he seizes your vessel. He impounds your vessel and extorts you to come buy it back. Did he just not take your private property without compensating you for it? Because guess what your private property, guess what that the effect of him seizing your vessel causes? It causes you to go spend your money that you pledged your labor to get for them to generate what? Revenue. You go up to most police stations, they're going to charge you their fee to release the lien on your vehicle. Then you have to go to where? The impound lot who has your vehicle. Then you got to pay them for their tow fee, their hook fee, and their storage fees. Is that not creating revenue for other companies as well? Then guess when they create revenue, they pay it back to the man. It all comes back to one source. It all comes back to one source. Now, even though you register your vehicles, let's come over here to Fam Guardian. There's plethora of information. No law requires you to record or pledge your vehicle. No law. Okay? No law. So let's go up in here. Right here. And so it always pays to look at these case laws. And every time you look at these cases, you always want to, especially if you're going to use case law on any documents that you're going to file into a case in the court or anything, you want to go look these case laws up. Because people be putting things, and over the time I've seen people put case law, and that's not even what the case talking about. They're just trying to make it sound applicable to their situation. But the context that the case law is being used in doesn't even apply to their situation. There we go. 1885. You see what I'm saying? So there you go. This case right here. There should be no arbitrary deprivation of life or liberty or arbitrary spoliation of property. Barber versus Connolly, 113 U.S. That means it was the United States Supreme Court, 27 and 31. So we just typed that in. They put Barber. Okay. Over here it says Barbier. See, that's why you always got to look up stuff. You just don't be going and taking stuff. And yes, it may be a simple misnomer, but that matters. Now look what this is talking about. A municipal ordinance prohibited from washing and ironing in public laundries and wash houses within defined territory limits from 10 o'clock to 6 in the morning is purely a police regulation within the competency of the municipality possessed of the ordinary powers. 14th Amendment of the Constitution does not impair the police power of a state. In the era of the state, this court cannot pass upon the question of the conformity of a municipal ordinance with the requirements of the Constitution of the state. So you see, you got to go look in these cases and see what they're talking about. And I'm not going to read that. But you got to go look into these cases before you go look at these case laws. Now, let's go look into this. Okay. Whenever the operation and effect of any general regulation is to extinguish or destroy that which by law of the land is property of any person, so far it has the effect, it is unconstitutional and void. Thus, a law considered as being a deprivation of property within The meaning of this constitutional guarantee, if it deprives an owner of one of its essential attributes, destroys its value, restricts or interrupts its common, necessary, or profitable use, hampers the owner in the application of it to the purposes of trade, or imposes condition upon the right to hold or use it, and thereby seriously impairs its value. That's an American jurisprudence, constitutional law. It's unconstitutional and void. So you having the right to travel, if you're not participating in any state-regulated commercial activity, then what's going on? Then the state is imposing a condition upon you, the right or to hold or use it, and thereby seriously impairs your car's value or your vehicle's value. Okay? Or deprives the owner of one of its essential attributes and destroys its value, restricts or interrupts its common. I'm just going to my grandma's house. That's my common use of my property. I'm going to see my brother on the other side of town. That's common use of my property. I'm finna go to the park and play some ball. That's common use of my property. And you're hampering me. You're hampering the owner in the application of it to the purposes of trade. Okay? You do not have to register your vehicle. Now, you better comprehend and understand when you come out to the public, if you haven't registered your vehicle, that you're going to be hampered, and you're going to know how to stand on your property rights of your vehicle if they take it or this, that, or anything. It doesn't matter. You got to see what road is going to work for you. You got people who don't put plates on their car. They make their own plates and let you know this is for private use. This has not been registered in commerce. And where a lot of people you mess up is y'all talking about my vehicle's private, but you obtained it publicly. You obtained it with a social security number. You obtained it with a social security number. You obtained it by way of a benefit and privilege that the government gave to you. Huh? Why do you think the rich people ain't subject to what you think they subject to? They get a tax break because they making money. They making money circulate. It's all about the revenue, baby. It's all about the revenue. So what has just happened? When you register your car, your vessel, when you register your gun, when you register your boat, when you register your house, when you register your children, you just giving the state a interest in what? Your property. And guess what they do? They're looking to create a value. So what they do when you violate, they put a lien on your property. Okay? The duty of the licensor and the DMV commissioner, the information created in the surrounding strictly juris doctrine regarding a particular license, which may or may not be represented and be revealed within the contents and control of a license agreement, but must be revealed upon demand, and failure to do so is concealment, a withholding of material facts, the inducing contractual consideration known by those who have a duty that are bound to reveal. Now, what they telling you? Okay, I did go and get a license. Yeah, because I was under I was under the presumption that I have to get a license. I was under the presumption since I've been growing up, and y'all started driver's ed in high school, where y'all started brainwashing us at and told us. And what did they tell you? When you accept the license, they told me this in driver's ed class. When you accept the license, you agree and you are bound to the rules of the road. Does it not sound like a contract? If you receive or accept the benefit of privilege from us, you got to follow our rules. Is an automobile always a vehicle or a motor vehicle? Huh? A motor vehicle means, and this is 18 U.S.C. 31, a motor vehicle means every description or carriage or other contrivance propelled or drawn by mechanical power and used for commercial purposes on the highways and transportations of passengers or property and cargo. So used for commercial purpose means the carriage or persons or property for any fare, fee, rate, charge, or other consideration, or directly or indirectly in connection with any business or undertaking intended for profit. Once again, what happens when you come to court? Or you were charged with operating a motor vehicle without a license. If you get caught driving an 18-wheeler down the highway and you get pulled over, you have just been caught operating a motor vehicle without a license. Yes, that's true. If you get caught, if you get interrupted in your travel, going from one place to another, not connected to any commercial activity, and a constable on patrol, a pirate on patrol, interrupts your travel and asks you for a license, you need not provide any license, because you do not need a license if you're not participating in any commercially regulated conduct. You don't need a license for that. Let's go over here to this common law abatement. An abatement at common law. And an abatement is attacking the process. Go look up what an abatement is. It's a dilatory tactic. It means it's to win you some time. This is by Don Quixote. Okay, it's the common law abatement, and he's a Juris Doctorate. See that? Highly educated. So, what I like about this document, and this is right on the internet, I went and looked it up. It's called the common law abatement. All right, and read it. And so, in the common law abatement, it has what's called a memorandum of law. And the memorandum of law, I think it's like 40-some pages. Oh, man, it's wonderful. The memorandum of law is wonderful. Let me see. Let me get down there to it. Okay, here it is. Overview of the people's right to travel. I encourage you to go read through this. Okay, so let's go where it says about the license. And if you didn't know, a license is permission to do something that would be otherwise illegal. Huh? Okay. Based upon the fundamental ground of that the sovereign state has the plenary. Let's go look up this word plenary. So you know what plenary means. You got to know what these words mean. You'll read right past and think you know what it means. Plenary. Complete in all respects. Unlimited or full. Okay, unlimited or full. That's what plenary means. The state has unlimited control of the streets and highways in the exercise of its police powers. Okay? Now, they may absolutely prohibit the use of the streets as a place for the prosecution of a private business for gain. Why do you think it's called interstate commerce, so them guys get hit so hard when they bring in dope up and down the highways? Because they're using the public interstate for a place of private business and gain. That's why they own them, for drug trafficking. They all recognize the fundamental distinction between the ordinary right of the citizen to use the streets in the usual way and the use of the streets as a place of a business or a main instrumentality of business for private gain. The former, which is the first one, is a common right. The right of the citizen to use the streets is the former. The latter is an extraordinary use. So when you hear these terms, former and latter, former, and what they make you like, if they make you two designations, if they make you to like two choices, and if I tell you you have a choice between the orange and the apple, the whatever one I said first will be the former, and the second will be the latter. So if I tell you have the choice between the orange and the apple, that means the former would be the orange, and the latter would be the apple. So in here, they saying the right of the citizen to use the street in the usual way is the former, and the latter is somebody using the public streets for private gain. The former is a common right. They're telling you to use the streets in any usual way is a common right. The latter is an extraordinary use. They say, oh, you out of your rights used in the highway for your private gain, bro. We regulate that. As to the former, the legislative power is confined to regulation. They're telling you right now. So as to your right to use the street in the usual way, that means the legislative power is confined to regulation. And what's the regulation? Traffic lights, stop signs, pedestrian signs, and speed limits. Why? Because the public has rights. If you go look up the public rights doctrine, just because we private don't mean we can infringe on the rights of the public. And the latter, it is plenary. That means it's unlimited and extends even to the absolute prohibition. Yeah, that means they can prohibit you doing anything that's in the extraordinary use of the public roads. Since the use of the streets by a common carrier in the prosecution of his business as such is not a right, but a mere license of privilege. So they're telling you, when you get involved in commercial activity, that is not a right, but that's a mere license of privilege. You have a license to operate a motor vehicle. No, you do not have the right to have a license, but you have the right to travel. Hello, what capacity are you operating in? You have not rebutted the presumption that you're one and the same with your public fiction. Because when you come out to the public, the only vehicle that these people can come interact with is your public person. And who's the trustee and who's responsible for your public person? You are. And when that public person gets charged in a court, you're responsible for the charges of your public person. But you don't know that you're indebted to the government by way of your public person because you haven't become a secured party creditor yet. You haven't secured your stance. You haven't secured who you are in regards to your public entity. When you play Monopoly, do you jump onto the Monopoly board and go serve time for your piece? When your piece got to go to jail in Monopoly, do you downsize to the size of an ant and go sit in jail for your piece? No. The piece sits in jail. Does your piece move itself on the Monopoly board? No. You use your physical energy to take the piece and move it around the board. You power this thing up. And this is just, it goes on and on. Where the rights, okay, let's go. Okay, the streets and highways are established and maintained for the purpose of travel, I have the right to travel, and transportation by the public. Such travel may be for business or pleasure. The use of highways for the purpose of travel and transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common and fundamental right of which the public and the individual cannot be rightfully deprived. Chicago Motor Coach versus Chicago. Hello, that's in 1929. Go look in American jurisprudence, highways. That's American jurisprudence is a legal encyclopedia. Okay? The court has held this. For a citizen has the right to travel upon the public highways and to transport his property thereon. That right does not extend to the use of highways either in whole and apart as a place for private gain. They letting you know, if it's commercial, we regulate it. For the latter, which is the second one, purpose, no person has a vested right to use the highways of the state, but is a privilege or a license, which the legislator may grant or withhold at his discretion. Oh, I need my license back. Yeah, you can't get in that UPS truck and drive without no license, bro. Without no CDL. What does a CDL stand for? Commercial driver's license. But what they did is convince you that the driver's license that you're using with your vesture that you register with the state is not used for commercial purposes. How is not your vehicle not being used for commercial purposes when the DMV only licensed commercial activity? Okay? Are you telling you steady going to jail for driving with no license? I dealt with a case. I'm dealing with a case with a driver with no license. Or they gonna make you show them. They gonna make you show them. Are you ready to stick up for yourself and go to jail because of a traffic ticket? Is you really, really, really willing and ready to go hard about something that seems so minute to somebody else? Because in Illinois, and you go look in your state statutes, okay? So what's going on, right? So what's going on? And I'm gonna say what's going on in Illinois, and I put this in my last video. Illinois compiled statutes. What's going on? What's going on in this civil procedure? When after you violate your contract with the DMV because you violated the rules of the road by accepting the license, you agreed to uphold the rules of the roads you violated. So what they do, you violate the statute, they sue you for a fine, fee, or a penalty, right? And they do it under a penal statute. A penal statute is any statute that calls for a penalty. So when you guys are going to jail for getting caught with dope, or you're going to jail get caught for weed, and they say, well, since you broke this penalty, since you broke this statute or violated the statute or offended the statute, this is the penalty for it. $400, court supervision, go pay probation. Okay, now look at this, costs. You register your car with the state, and guess what they doing? And guess what they doing for? And guess what they doing? Right? Excuse me. I'm in the wrong section. And look, this is where we're going. We're going to the criminal. Now, traffic infractions cannot be criminal. Okay? Traffic infractions cannot be criminal. But this is what they're telling you. They're telling you that speeding 30 over is criminal. We're in the criminal procedure of Illinois. Okay? Look at that. Now look at that. Liens and costs. Is lien, the property, real and personal, which is your private property that you register to the public, of a person who was convicted of an offense. When you go in court, well, sir, you've been accused of speeding 30 over. How do you plead? Guilty. And what happens is they get a conviction. And you have to pay. You have been convicted of an offense, and your property shall be bound. And a lien is created on the property, both real and personal, of every offender, not exempt from enforcement of the judgment of attachment. They sitting there telling you. That they're putting a lien on your property. Why you think the constable, the pirate, can take your vehicle? Because now we call him a lien. How does this pirate know he has authority to deal with you? Because when you pull him over, what do? You identify yourself with instruments that were tendered to you by the state. Okay? In the state of Illinois, if an Illinois state pirate trooper sees that your vehicle has his principal, which is the state of Illinois plates on your vehicle, what does that signify to that pirate or that policy enforcement officer? That signifies to him that you've rendered to Caesar what's due unto Caesar. Because you didn't know any better, unfortunately. You gave over your private property and you were not compensated for it. Did the federal government compensate the people when they gave over their gold in 1933? No. But what they did was provide a remedy within the law. In the law, there's always a remedy, and that remedy was House Joint Resolution 192. When they banned when they abrogated the gold clause of the United States Constitution. And it said it should be against public policy for you to be or pay for debts with gold or to be in possession of gold. So we're going to let you discharge your debts dollar for dollar. Now, your private property has been registered for public use. That's what's going on. And what they're trying to do is they put a lien on it. Okay, so let's go back here. That's what's commercial. Commercial purposes means fare, fee. Taxi cab charges you a what? A fare. Don't he charge you a rate? Uber? Don't they charge you a rate? Don't they charge you? Don't they charge you a boarding fee? A cleaning fee if you spilled your pop in their car? Right? They telling you right here that your carriage, which is your contrivance, your vehicle, is a household article. All right? A personal automobile is household goods. Okay? They determine the use determines your classification. Now, if you using your vehicle, it's a household good because you're going from one place to another in your personal ordinary business. But if you're using it for gain, you're using it, it changes the classification from household good to what? Commercial, motor vehicle. Right? Look at this. This is a lot of good law in here. You got to read this stuff. Automobiles are not classified as vehicles. Keep reading through it, and then you always got to look through and see what applies. And because it's a lot of information out here, but once you study the law, you're gonna know what information is applicable and what information is not. You gotta learn how to go through a document and get the meat and potatoes out of it, right? So we know that these people are operating in a special maritime admiralty jurisdiction, and your commercial vehicle is a vessel. Your commercial vehicle is a vessel on the high seas within the admiralty jurisdiction. And how is your car that's on the land, a vessel, operating on the high seas? Because In Propeller Genesis Chief, verse Fitzhugh, it says that the power of the admiralty jurisdiction that these courts have is just extensive upon the land as it is on the water. And they said the Constitution makes no distinction with the respect of the admiralty jurisdiction to the federal government. And if the admiralty jurisdiction in matters of contract or tort, which the courts of the United States may lawfully exercise on the high seas, can be extended to the lakes under the power to regulate commerce, guess what? It can be with the same propriety and upon the same construction be extended to contracts and torts on land when the commerce is between different states. And it may embrace also the vehicles and persons engaged in carrying it on. It would be in the power of Congress to confer admiralty jurisdiction upon its courts over the cars engaged in transporting passengers or merchandise. They're letting you know, though, they have authority over commercial cars engaged in transporting passenger merchandise. Right? 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 They telling you that. They telling you that right here. So what? We're looking at two different sources of information, but they're congruent to each other. They telling you they have the right to regulate commerce. Why they have the right? It's called interstate commerce when you're going from state to state with goods. You got to pay a tax on that. You know, some people, if they smart, they open their cigarettes in one state. Because if it's open when you come over, that means you pay the tax in one state. You open it, you're using it. But if you go from state to state, then you owe a tax with each individual state. If you get caught with those cigarettes, hold on. Let me show you though. Let me show you how what I mean. What I'm saying is regulated as commercial. Let's go to CFR, the Code of Federal Regulations, Chapter 72, Section 27.11. Let's go there. Because we specifically talking about them cigarettes. Let's go to them cigarettes, man. When you and I'm saying that because if you cross them, you ever seen somebody go to the federal penitentiary for cigarettes? They crossing the state line with cigarettes, contraband cigarettes. Hello, contraband cigarettes. And just so you know, this is the part of the Code of Federal Regulations, CFR Code of Federal Regulations, Section 72.11, let you know that guess what? Commercial crimes, everything's commercial. Any other type of following crimes, state or federal, these are commercial. Contraband cigarettes, that's a commercial crime. Any quantity of cigarettes in excess of 60,000, if the cigarettes bear no evidence of the payment of applicable state cigarette taxes in the state where the cigarettes are found. They tell you right there, pay the tax. That's contraband. If the cigarettes bear no evidence of the payment of the applicable state cigarette taxes, that's contraband. That's why you're going to federal prison for getting caught with cigarettes crossing state lines. So that's interstate commerce. You got a whole section on the cigarettes. Firearm. You getting caught on the highway with a heat. Interstate commerce. All right? So I know I'm going off into a lot of different places, but they leaning your property. Let's get out of there. And they have the plenary power to do that. Plenary means unlimited. Okay? Plenary means unlimited. Now, let's go back over here. Now, you read through this, and I'll put a link to this document in the description. You see what I'm saying? But the Constitution, you have the right to travel. There's a difference between when you're traveling and when you're driving. When you're driving, that's for hire. When you have a passenger, the passenger paid. If I get pulled over or my travel's interrupted by a pirate and I'm in the car and I'm not, conducting any commercial activity, then you're not a passenger in my vehicle. You're a guest. You're a guest in my vehicle, just like you a guest in my house. All right. So read through this. It gives you a lot of insight. Knowing certain things. The state cannot diminish the rights of the people. Okay. To say you can't defend your property is usurpation of power by the legislator. So if I go into a courtroom and I don't submit to the jurisdiction of a court because I know that this court is trying to put a lien on me, Huh? I know that this court is trying to put a lien on me, right? Then you mad because I know that you're trying to come into the estate. And what's the estate? The estate is the social security number. Okay, so let's go back. Let me show you that they specifically talking about any property that you use to acquire, that you use the social security number to acquire. Now look at this. Let's go back to, because that's in the criminal code. We in the civil procedure. Let's go back to the criminal. All right, now, boom, check it out. All right. Liens and costs. Now look, they specifically said in Illinois, cause conviction remain unpaid. A crime of law, the court's entered judgment, serving arrest warrant, defendant convicted, created a property, finding an indictment, penalty, judgment. Okay, now look, check this out. At the KPB, enforcement of the judgment, which is your guilty, the judgment is your guilty plea and conviction. That's the judgment. May be enforcement of the judgment may be directed to the proper officer of any court in this state. The officer to whom the certified copy of judgment is delivered shall levy the judgment upon all the estate, real and personal, of the defendant. Upon all the estate. Your Social Security, the birth certificate, Social Security is a trust. So Social Security is a trust created by the government. Huh? Let's ask Google whatever this is. Is Social Security a trust? Let's see if they tell us the truth. The Social Security program pays benefits to retired disabled workers and family members of family deceased workers. Program income and outgo are accounted for two separate trust funds under this title. If it's a trust fund, it's a trust. It's the Social Security Act. So I had a document that specifically said which. And I can't find it. That's why I only typed that in. I forget the name of that. But, the federal government, these guys are trustees over this trust. Okay? They're the trustees over this trust. John Trafficant stood up in the middle of Congress and said it. John Trafficant is from Ohio, was a senator from Ohio. And he stood up on a congressional record. Okay? And basically said, yo, we trustees are the most fucked up corporation on the planet. We bankrupt as fuck, bro. James Trafficant. On March 17th, today, March 17th, this March 17th, 2022, today in 1993, Representative James Trafficant from Ohio, he addressed the House and he said, Mr. Speaker, we are here now in Chapter 11. Members of Congress are official trustees presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in world history, the U.S. government. The U.S. government. He said we are setting forth, hopefully, a blueprint for our future. There are some who say it's a coroner's report that will lead to our demise. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act, March 9th, 1933. 48 Statute 1, Public Law 89-719, declared by President Roosevelt, being bankrupt and insolvent. They fucked up. Anytime they bring you in court, they raising you up to be a creditor. They asking for your money. They need to create a lien on your property. But you registering it. You funding this whole enchilada. Yeah, you funded it. They abrogated the gold clause and dissolved the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacity of all United States government of offices. That's when they went to the de facto from the republic. After they went broke. Once a government or a corporate anything goes broke, you lose any type of authority. A government goes broke, you lose your sovereignty. You broke. So the receivers is the people who the debt is owed to. Of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers via the United Nations, the World Bank, and the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Who owns that? Queen Elizabeth. The World Bank. They're telling you who they're indebted to. They're telling you who makes the laws of the United States. They're telling you that the laws of the United States is private international law. And all United States offices, officials, and departments are not operating within the de facto status in name only under emergency war powers. With the constitutional Republican form of government now dissolved, the receivers, which are the creditors of the bankruptcy, have adopted a new form of government for the United States. This new form of government is known as the democracy. They're telling you that a democracy was never mentioned in the Constitution, but a Republican form of government was guaranteed to us. And the Republic is a house that no one lives in. This act was instituted and established by transferring or placing the office of Secretary of Treasury to that of the governor of the International Monetary Fund. Okay, now look at this. Here you have a representative from Ohio telling the Speaker of the House that we fucked up. We broke as hell. We are official trustees. So there's a trust going on. And you register your property into this trust. So when you register your property, there's a trustee, there's a beneficiary. Hello, who's beneficiary? You, your straw man. You benefit through your straw man. And who's the trustees? The government. But what are the trustees doing? Instead of issuing and administering your property for your benefit, they're administering your property to their benefit, and they're acting as unqualified heirs to your estate. Unqualified heirs to your estate. I was in court a couple weeks ago, and the judge was having a conversation with two different attorneys. One was a public pretender, a public defender, a public pretender, and the other was a private hired attorney. And they were going back and forth on whose responsibility it was to defend a certain case. And the paid attorney said, Your Honor, this is not my case. I was relieved from my duty in regards to this case. And the judge asked the public pretender, well, how did he end this case? He said, well, I don't know, Your Honor. I must have inherited it from the public defender's office. That's what he said. That's what his exact words were. He said, I must have inherited it. What happens when somebody sets up an estate for somebody and they die? The beneficiaries inherit whatever property was held in that estate. Now, with this public pretender telling the court that he inherited this case from the public defender's offices, he is making a public proclamation and declaration that he's an heir to whoever's estate this lien is being made against. Trust law. It's all about trust law. Why is it all about trust law? Why is it all about trust law? It's all about trust law because the Congress, these public officials are trustees. And what's the trust indenture? What's the trust document? The Constitution. Who's the beneficiaries of the trust? The people. Who are the trustees of the trust? The government. Is it starting to make sense yet? But guess what? They reverse the roles on you. They making it look like they're crediting you something and you're indebted to them. And how do they do that? 28 U.S.C. 3002. This is how they do that. Because they saying you indebted to them because once you bring them in front of this court and they try to assess or levy against you a fee, a fine, or a penalty, then they're inferring that you're in debt. 28 U.S.C. 3002 Section 3 says a debt means many things, but specifically a fee, a fine, or a penalty. Come on, man. Here goes the most important one. Tax. Tax. All right? But they're pretending that you're indebted to them. But they're pretending that they have all sovereign authority over you. Huh? They're pretending that you're beholden to them and they're not beholden to you. They're pretending that they're not public servants. They're pretending that they're your master. They're not your master. There's no way they could be. Because the people was antecedent. I'm supposed to be going to sleep. It's 10 o'clock. Antecedent. The people were antecedent. What does antecedent mean? Preceding. You see what I'm saying? That means we were antecedent. That means we were here before the formation of the government and our rights were antecedent to the formation of the government. We had rights before the formation of the government, and what that public trust document referred to as the Constitution does is recognize those. The Constitution was put in place to keep the government in check. The Constitution does not grant you rights. It recognizes rights given and granted to you by the Creator. Hello. Well, you owe me my constitutional rights. Nobody owe you a bitch ass thing. You ain't got no rights unless you standing on that. That's the only time you got rights. That's the only time you got rights. So you're dealing with these trustees and these public officials. They trustees because you're registering. You're registering your property. Now look at this right here. Okay, now when this pirate pulled you over and took your vehicle, it says, whenever a law deprives the owner of the beneficial use and free enjoyment of his property, imposes restraints upon such use and enjoyment that materially affects his value without legal process or just compensation, it deprives him of his property within the meaning of the Constitution. Now, just so you know, once you're riding down the street with the state's plates on your vehicle, hey, bro, this not your property no more because you registered with us. So guess what? They taking their shit from you. Because you don't have a legal title holding right to that property. You only have what? The equitable title holding right, which is the right to use it. Period. Hey, man, that's my car. I work for that. I pay for that. You just can't take my vehicle. No, the fuck it is not. This is not your vehicle, bro. You registered this. Now, if you was operating as a national, not registering your private property out to the public for public use, and a constable or pirate took you and impounded your vehicle, then guess what he just did? He deprived you of your property without legal process or compensation. Now guess what you have? Standing to do what? Sue him in his personal capacity. Put a lien against him after you afford him his opportunity of due process to respond back to your claims by way of an administrative process. Officer John Doe, you thought you had the authority to take something that wasn't yours. I thought I told, you can't be out here operating a motor vehicle without any plates on it. It's not a motor vehicle. It's not used for commercial purposes. Do you have a license to operate this motor vehicle, sir? Well, if I was operating a commercial capacity or participating in a commercially regulated activity, yes, I would need a license to drive a motor vehicle. But sir, I'm operating in a private capacity and I'm not operating in a commercial capacity. Therefore, no license is needed for me to use the highway for my pleasure. Now, take my car if you want to. I'm not going to sue your badge. I'm going to sue you personally. And the money that you use to put groceries in your refrigerator and feed your family will now be the money that goes into my pocket, and I will use your money to put groceries in my refrigerator and feed my family. And I'm getting a little long-winded. And I'm reiterating the same things in different ways. So I'm going to put a link to this in the description. I'm done for tonight. And go to famguardian.org. It's a lot of stuff on there. It's a lot of stuff on famguardian.org. Let's type it in. Famguardian. And you go on here, and there's so much information on here. All right, you can sign in and I've signed into this a long time ago. All right, famguardian.org. Okay, there's a lot of information out here. Go to your local statutes and see what's going on. Okay, go look at this Constitution and figure out what's going on. And it's the people who I listen to who still teach me things that I don't know about the Constitution, because this is a very intricate document. It must be read with discerning eyes in a clear understanding of law. Jewel Black's Law Dictionary. Do not use regular dictionaries to define words with in a legal context. If we come over here to the legal side of things, then we looking in law dictionaries. Don't look into your regular dictionary. Go read this case law. I learned from case law. And I've learned from my experience actually being in the court. You got to look at this stuff and read it. Oh man, it's too long to read. They telling you what's going on. Stuff like this. This is a public case decided in the United States court, and they just brought their authority from the water onto the land. Yeah, now you're navigating in commerce on the high seas, and you're within the amity and maritime jurisdiction of the United States. Are you not? Are you not in the special maritime and territorial jurisdiction of the United States? Did they not just tell you that? Did they not just tell you that? I showed it to you. Okay? Go read that United States Code. They're not hiding it from you. These people are corrupt. Yeah, you know that. But how can you prove it? You prove it by reading their law. Look at this. United States Code. Let's go look up the United States Code. Okay? Uh-oh. United States Code. All right. All right, let's go. Let's go to you. There you go. All right, there you go. U.S. Code, right here. You go on this Legal Information Institute, cornelllaw.edu. A lot of you can find the UCC here, everything. United States Code, they define everything that's going on in each branch of the government. National Guard, money and finance, labor, crime control, and law enforcement, patents. Everything that they do is predicated on this. Everything they do is predicated on this. And anybody who's been caught up in any trouble, 18 is the criminal procedure of the federal courts and the federal jurisdiction. All right? Aliens and nationality, all that. You got to go look into this. Ain't nobody going to tell you nothing. Ain't nobody tell you got rights. I'm not going to tell you have rights. And I'm going to put a copy of this common law abatement in the description as well. All right? So, you go read through that and go read, you know what I'm saying, know what's going on. That's it for me for tonight. Let me stop this screen record. That's it for me for tonight. And, peace to everybody. Peace to the people who's moving through and navigating these treacherous waters. Because it's gonna be an uphill battle. This ain't nothing about this easy. It's more so simple once you comprehend it. I'm 7 years in, okay, and it took me being defeated. I'm talking about going up in court and getting balled up. Yeah, I have a lot of knowledge on my dial play in regards to law, but I'm continuously learning. It's not over once you get in it. You get it until it's time to transition. That's what the analogy of the red pill, blue pill was. He said you can take the red pill, I'm going to take you deeper into the rabbit hole. Or you can take the blue pill and you can wake up and go back to your ordinary life. But I remember writing down aphorism, Pythagorean aphorisms. And one of the ones, let me see this. Okay. Let me see if I can find the one. And if I can't find it, I'm not gonna take too much more of your time. Okay. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, now check this out. Woo! Here you go. Pythagoras up with the 10 most important Pythagorean theories. But here's number 6. Okay, having departed from your house. Now keep in mind, these are not for surface dwellers. Pythagoras was the highly educated phenomenon in the history of the world. Okay, and you go look at the Pythagorean theory, Pythagoras, and see how he attributed to the intellects of our day and age, and what we base our knowledge on. But having departed from your house, turn not back, for the Furies will be your attendants. Pythagoras here warns his followers that anyone who begin the search for truth and after having learned part of the mystery become discouraged and attempt to return again to their former ways of vice and ignorance will suffer exceedingly. For it is better to know nothing about divinity than to learn a little than stop without learning at all. Red pill, blue pill. What is he telling you? You haven't departed from your house. You woke up now. You woke up out of your slumber and your sleep and you departed from that house of ignorance. Don't turn back because the Furies will be your attendants. Yeah, woe unto you. Destruction will be living in that house when you come back to it. Confusion is going to be living in that house of ignorance when you come back to it. Deaf, dumb, and blindness will be living in the house when you come back to it. Mayhem and madness will be living in that house of ignorance when you come back to it. You can't go to sleep after you open your eyes. You can't do it. And there's a good chance if you waking up, you've been searching, you've been looking. If you end up here, you was looking. You were looking. So, keep that in mind. And this is for information and educational purposes only. My email will be in the description. Islam to the Moors. Peace to all my American nationals. And assalamu alaikum to my Muslim family. So, in that regards, I leave you here until next time. Peace.